rabbi from another planet. Please like, share, and subscribe, and ring the little bell. Ring the little bell so you're notified when new videos drop. So eagle-eyed viewers amongst you may notice I'm on my backup computer again. Man, life is never easy. And actually, that's not true. Life was super easy yesterday. I had I'm recording this on Sunday morning. Recording about 2 hours later than I wanted to, which is what I'm going to talk to you about in a minute. But I'm recording this a couple of hours later than I wanted to. But I just had Sabbath on Saturday. Yeah, Friday night, Saturday. Freaking awesome. Just absolutely idyllic. Sabbath is, everyone's offline. You don't go on any, you don't use devices. You unplug for the day. It's great. And by a weird set of events, all my kids, who are all older now, were not home for one of the main meals. You know, we have three meals on Shabbat. Theoretically, the third meal is some people do, some people don't. A meal's defined by you've got to have wine with it and 2 loaves of bread. You don't have to eat the whole loaf. It's called challah. But you do one Friday night, you do one on Saturday lunch, right? It's like Sunday lunch, but on Saturday. So by some weird thing, all my kids are away. And my kids are older, but they're away. Actually, we might have been left with my younger son. But we wanted to have something cold and just me and my wife would like. And he's like, yeah, I'm out. I'm going to go to my girlfriend. So I'm like, so it was just us. And it was awesome, right? It was idyllic. It was such a nice day. And it's not because I got the kids out of the house, but it's just we haven't been on vacation since before COVID, right? And I'm not really into paying for an expensive hotel post-COVID. I don't know, I want to get the ball with you people. So, but it was the first time me and my wife had just got to spend some alone time together. And it was just lovely. It was really nice. It was really relaxing. And I really liked it. Yeah, no, I had an absolutely great, absolutely fantastic time. So anyway, so this morning is a bit of a contrast to that. Okay, this morning is a bit of a major contrast. It's 11:40 right now. I've been trying to get Adobe Premiere, which is the program I use to edit these videos in, open for about 2 hours. We're going on for about 2 hours. I've had to uninstall it. I'm trying to reinstall it right now. I've been waiting. I'm just I'm just recording this on my other computer. Enough already. I've been asking comments. I've been doing other stuff, but it's just having your workflow just derailed is so frustrating. It's so unbelievably frustrating. So this video is going to be hopefully quite helpful for me, because this video, we're focusing on loving God, and loving God when he's making your life relentlessly miserable, right? So, there is that. So this is actually this is really helpful for me. I hope you find it useful too. We're in a 50-day cycle, of stuff, a 50-day cycle of different stuff going from Passover to the Jewish holiday of Shavuot. Which is when commemorates when God appeared at Mount Sinai with that big revelation. I am the God of all that stuff. And you go up a level in holiness every year you can. There's one more level of potential for holiness every single day of this period. It's called Sphira. And because there's huge potential for growth, and huge potential for growth in one's connection to God, growth in one's personal holiness, that always comes through what we call sorrow, with hardships, and it might not seem like the biggest hardship in the world. I can't get bloody Adobe Premiere to bloody open up, and I have to take something. But it just puts me in a state of real frustration, right? So that must be what God wants me to deal with, right? I'm being able to see through these frustrations, right? Being able to see through if they're real or not. And they're not real, right? They're universally not real. So anyway, we have a program we're doing, the 6 constant mitzvahs from this book over here, 6 constant mitzvahs. A mitzvah is a commandment from the Bible. And there are 6 of them you do constantly that forms one's worldview. So we've done, we did it, the first 3 are cut off somewhat intellectual, right? First 3 are faith in God. It's making sure you know that God is real, right? And making that like a real thing in the end. So your faith in God, not having other gods. Don't believe anything else has any power. And the God of oneness of God. There is only God, essentially. If God is infinite, there is nothing else other than the infinite, because that's infinite. You can't get two infinities. You can't get infinity plus one. No, there is one infinite alone. And that's how we view God. So now we're on to so that's a basic understanding of like anything that happens in life comes from God and is God's will, right? Anything that, I mean, you have your choice how you react to it. Right now, I'm reacting it without a choice, out of like just frustration and anger, right? And I don't want to do that. I want to do it. So you have to retrain yourself every day. Actually, I heard a great analogy once. Was it Rabbi? I think Rabbi Niven had this analogy. It says essentially, imagine that you imagine that you're a hard drive, and each day you get your operating system wiped and you have to reinstall it, which, so you have to re-say over these things that basically we know and we understand, but saying it over makes it real. So today we're on the commandment of loving God. So the question we asked when we started this: how can you command somebody to love something, right? How can you command somebody to love something? I'm not sure the answer in the book, but my essential answer is that most people have a roughly similar amount of positive and negative character traits. People you like and people you don't like. If you take both those groups, they're not intrinsically better and worse, even though we would like to think people we like are better and people we don't like are worse, right? We would like to believe that, but it's not really the truth. It's not really the truth at all. So, and the converse of it, we would like to believe that people we don't like are evil, but that's again, it's we obviously don't like them for a reason, right? But there's when you look at them, if you judge them as God would judge them, everyone is about in the same ballpark, right? So why do you like this person, not like this other one? Essentially, because you focus on the positive character traits of one and negative of the other. If somebody's done something terrible to you, you're going to focus on those negative character traits because that's how you associate them, right? That's how you associate them. Which is why apologizing is so important, right? Because you can turn that negativity into positivity instantly if you do that. But most people, sadly, just do not have the cajones to be able to admit they're wrong and say sorry. That's just way out most people's ballpark. But that's basically the idea. So we're focusing on God's positive character traits for today's lesson. So let's continue with that. Where are we up to? We're at day 29. We're on page 166. Fine. Let's have a look what it's got to say. Secularists, people who, generally speaking, don't believe in God, may fear subconsciously that the impartial examination of evidence will result in proof positive of the existence of a creator. And again, this was written about 20 years ago, this book, and boy, has that changed. I mean, generally speaking, and again, I'm speaking in generalities, if you're on the progressive left wing, I think left's a bad term for it, but it's a blanket term, view of the cultural divide that we're living through, you'll only get your media from sources that agree with you. But if you're on the more conservative, traditionalist side, you tend to get media, and this is just what data overwhelmingly shows. You tend to get media from both sides, right? And I think it's essentially because I don't really, again, I'm not such a huge right wing. Oh yeah, let's get rid of unions. No, I think there is a read for a social net, and workers of the world should unite and things like that. They're all good, but I think humans of the world should unite. But they refuse to engage in conversations so often because they know it's nonsense, the things they believe. They know. And I can't even list them here because YouTube believes them too. And if I list them, I'm going to get in trouble. But they know it's nonsense. So that's why they need to silence each and every one of you all the time. Which would mean that there must be a purpose of life and that the world is not a free-for-all. Since the existence of a creator will require them to change their lifestyles, their study of nature is slanted by the determination to find proof for their prior beliefs. Yeah, listen, I mean, hasn't the strength of science been completely decimated by these people, right? Completely and utter decimated, because the things they call science aren't so much, right? And as, like I don't know what the deal is with climate change, for example. I do know that there's a lot of money being pumped in from like Russia and China over the last 20 years into American ecological groups that said, no, you should not drill for oil, where you are. Clearly, they had an agenda they wanted to come to, and they used science as they found a scientific justification for it, which doesn't really stand up to much examination. Since existence, we're going to change their lifestyles. No matter how compelling the evidence is, they will always find a reason to argue and ignore it. Man, this guy knew what he was talking about. So true, right? We're talking about if you have heard the 6,000 Mules documentary, it's essentially there was a group that set up electronic fencing around all of the ballot boxes, the drop boxes in 2020. And they got the cell phone data of the people who visited those drop boxes. They found, on average, people going to the drop boxes went about 40 times, right? That's like a lot of times. And they tracked their cell phones, and they went from drop box to drop box to drop box to drop box, and then they went back to one of two addresses. One, both of them like Democratic strong offices. One of them being Stacey Abrams' office. So. But it doesn't matter. I was talking about this yesterday on Shabbat. I had a lovely time. And I was saying, it just doesn't matter. You can show them absolute irrefutable proof, and they'll be going, no, fake news, it's Russian disinformation. They'll just blow off anything they don't want to hear, which is exactly what they're saying they do here. For religious Jews, too, there is much fear. Many of us are, I'll say them. Many of us I'll say us. Many of us are ready to focus on God to the extent that it doesn't restricts us too much. Yeah, this is a fair criticism that I cannot deny. That is, I've certainly witnessed something very, very similar to that. There's as long as it doesn't limit us too much, but we have our limits, right? When we find something that it seems to threaten our comfort of our existence, we make sure not to focus on it too intently. That is true. Okay, that is true. And even if we do allow ourselves to study such information on an intellectual level, sometimes it will not be our eyes that are being obstructed, but our hearts. The heart is the captain of the ship. That's a basic truism. The heart is indeed the captain of the ship. We cannot find it within ourselves to make the emotional change that is necessary. Yeah, it's incredible. I'm watching on my main computer right now. I'm recording this on my laptop. Adobe Premiere, which I had uninstalled, and is up to 91% of reinstalling. So that's going on in the background. I'm telling you, it's I'm feeling better already just by reading this out, right? I'm feeling much calmer, much more positive about life. Fake it till you can make it, baby. That's really a good piece of advice. Success in love of God depends on the one's open-mindedness. The first step to impartial investigation of nature and biblical law and the Bible, I should say, is to recognize that the fear that prevents us from doing so is the fear of the unknown. I'm really not. I don't really share this fear at all. We don't know that a life of closeness to God will be. We don't know that a life of closeness to God will be painful or make us unhappy. It kind of is. Okay, that's how I would describe my day. It kind of is painful and making me unhappy, right? So let's see. Let's see if it really is that. I mean, I think it's hard to argue that God very much. I mean, there's pluses and minuses, right? There's definitely pluses and minuses either way. I mean, you don't have the moral quandaries if you believe in but then you got the if you believe in God, but you have to live with actually doing what God said, which I find most people are up for, right? Most people are really like, yeah, no, not so much. the first step in investigation of nature and biology prevents us. Recognize that the fear prevents us from doing so. As the fear of the unknown. We don't. Yeah, we don't know. Listen, I'm telling you now. Oftentimes it does. Right. Oftentimes it does. But we're afraid that it might. The fear that brings us to the inability to see the beauty of life with God. Yeah, well, look, I mean, again, that's where, I mean, I'm not scared of living a life of God because it'll be painful. I'm not right now. It is reasonably painful. It is reasonably painful. And I think the point is to see through it. That fear brings us an inability to see the beauty of God in life. Well, no, I would say seeing the beauty of God in your life is something that melts that fear away, right? Okay, so we're saying roughly the same thing. We get mired in a track of circular reasoning. We are afraid that the restrictions imposed on us by a God-filled existence will make us unhappy, so we refrain from investigating how beautiful such a lifestyle it is and how happy it will make us. Listen, this is not my experience. Maybe it's this guy's experience, but it's certainly not my experience. The early rabbis' approach to love of God is effective, but only for those who are able to remove those obstacles. We must learn to impartially examine each piece of information we learn and see where it leads us. We must not be afraid of seeing how beautiful life can be when we realize we are not restricted. Okay, what's he trying to say then? We must learn to impartially examine each piece of information we learn and see where it leads us. We must not be afraid of seeing how beautiful life can be when we realize that we are not restricted. We should focus on what we realize is the true importance of life. So he's saying that doing what you want is not the restriction, and following God is the restriction. I think that's what he's saying, right? That's what it sounds like he's saying. Okay. We must be brave enough to embrace life in which we don't feel the temptation to break the rules because we are so clear that we want to what we want and how we go about getting there. I mean, I guess so. Yeah, I mean that certainly makes sense. Now that our glasses are clean. Oh, so yesterday's thing we talked about having yogurt on your glasses when you're looking at things with these obstacles in front of you. We can re-examine re-examine nature, Bible, and suffering, and we see whether they affect us. They affect us as they should. Fine, nature. Fine. So fine. That was a bit of a preamble, right? Let us begin with nature. The fact that basically, up until now, he's been dealing with this emotional objection of not wanting to believe that, not wanting to see the beauty of God. Well, again, which is like I might have had at one point. I don't really relate to that. But let's see what it's going to say. Let's begin with nature. The fact that the Rambam, Maimonides, seems to consider it most likely to cause us to love God. Upon viewing the previously unseen aspect of nature, we are intrinsically captivated by beauty and perfection. The challenge is to associate with God and realize how harmony attests to the existence of the Creator. So yeah, this is something I definitely did yesterday. Right on Sabbath, we went for a walk. It's like the flowers smelled beautiful. It was a lovely summer's day. It was just gorgeous. It was absolutely good. It was actually pretty hot out. And we realized harmony in nature exists of the Creator. Realize that there's no supercomputer. Well, there's no supercomputer on my bloody desktop right now, that's for sure. Or super anything that can create one aspect of nature spontaneously. Let alone the myriads of magnificent creations that surround us. That is true. That is absolutely true. The most amazing innovations in science require raw materials that God has provided. Human science cannot synthesize anything from nothing. Yep, that again, basic truism. When we notice the wisdom, caring, and understanding that was invested into each mountain, river, houseplant, and butterfly, we were undoubtedly awestruck by God's greatness. That is true. The more one considers the complexity of nature and the incredible beauty of nature, The more mind-blowing it is. I mean, the more genuinely mind-blowing it is. When, so when we need not make field trips in order to appreciate God's amazing creation. The information that the average high school student is taught provides us with proof of the perfection and wonderfulness of nature. It's everywhere. I mean, again, yeah, I do agree with that. That seems 100% correct. Wonderful there. Furthermore, the advent of the modern technology places us in a better position to appreciate the astonishing wisdom of creation. Yeah, we've never been able to look at nature in such incredible detail, right? Such breathtaking, incredible detail. The most important components of the computers are drawn from nature. Taking it one step further, the human brain was able to create a computer. Certainly was not created. It cannot be created by humans. Yes, I mean, the fancy is at some point we will be able to create artificial intelligence, but nothing close to what we're doing now. Although I have to say, I really like shows where they deal with artificial intelligence. There's a great show called Raised by Wolves, which theologically is very, very interesting as well. But the two main characters are robots, right? And they know they're robots, and they're very clearly robots, and it's a very genuine life. You know, they've got artificial emotions. It's really, really fascinating. A little bit of thought can be with a little bit of thought. This should lead us to the inevitable existence of the Creator. Indeed, scientists who spend their time delving deeper and deeper into the amazing depth and orderliness of creation should lead the world to proclaim that there is one God. That does make sense to me. Once you see the incredible complexity of God, right, the incredible complexity of nature, then it is absolutely awe-inspiring. If you could connect that way, this beauty that I am experiencing right now, God created for me, right? That's a way to connect to love of God, right? That's connect to this complete love of God. The aforementioned scientist, Dr. Francis S. Collins, was confirmed atheist until he opened his mind to the possibility that God and the existence of the Creator, who made what science can only describe as made science can only study and attempt to recreate. That's true. He began to realize that it took greater faith and considerable amount of hubris to be an atheist and to reject the evidence of the contrary. It's very hard to talk about nature without saying creation, right? It's very, very hard to. You might say, oh, well, that's bred into our language, you know, it's baked in. I'm not so sure. It's hard to describe it. As leader of the Human Genome Project, Dr. Collins led a team of more than 2,000 scientists from 6 countries. Together, he said, we have determined there are 3 billion letters in the human genome. No idea what that means. And they produce their own DNA instruction book. It's hard to get your mind around how much information this is. Suppose we decided to take a little bit of time to this morning to read the letters of the human genome together, just to express the awe of God's creation. If we took turns reading and we agreed to stick to it, we would stick with it until we were all the way through. We would be here for 37 years. Well, that's pretty complex. I think that's fair to say. That's pretty darn complex. And you have all that information inside each of the 100 trillion cells in your body. Wow, that's mind-blowing. That's totally mind-blowing, right? It really does take your breath away. It takes a lot of faith or denial to believe that a random chance produced such order in the human body, the order in the human body, and the order in the rest of the universe. The deeper our knowledge and understanding of nature becomes, the more convinced we are of the existence of a creator. But moreover, we appreciate the breathtaking perfection of the Creator, and associated with the Creator, we should feel a need to come closer to Him and to love Him. As I was saying that kind of it was kind of doing that, right? It was kind of doing that trick, right? So listen, I think looking at the works of God is a way of connecting to love of God. But I maybe I'm narcissistic, right? Maybe this is just a narcissistic way of looking at things. I think you've got to connect it to you. You know, again, this beauty that you're experiencing, this awe that you're experiencing when you look at nature, you got to say, God went to all the trouble of creating this for me to experience this awe, so I can have the pleasure of this awe. And it really, that awe is available to you 24/7, right? There's no time you can look around and go, wow, this is pretty mundane. No, every molecule is incredible. You look at a book is just a bunch of molecules bouncing around, right? That's the paper, and a bunch of, the ink is a bunch of molecules bouncing around, and what separates one from the other? Nothing that anybody understands. God, essentially, God, and it's mind blowing. The more you think about it, the more your mind is blown. Right? So you know, let's hope our minds continue getting blown. Join me tomorrow as we continue with this series, and we're going to be focusing on the love of God. For the love of God, join me tomorrow.